This Civic Media podcast is sponsored by UW Organ and Tissue Donation. Organ donations are desperately needed, and now is the right time to become an organ donor. Talk to your family. Get the dot. Save lives. Go to heroicdeed.com.
This is your WLAK Daily News Roundup for Lake Air, 107.5 FM and 1260 AM in Amory.
For WLAK News, I'm James Kelly. A recent study found winters on the Great Lakes are getting shorter as a result of climate change. According to the study published in Environmental Research Letters, the Great Lakes have lost an average of 14 days of winter conditions for each decade since 1995 due to rising air temperatures. The study also found the region has seen the greatest increase in average winter temperatures over the last 50 years, and the Great Lakes are losing ice cover at a rate of about 5% each decade. Continued changes could affect the ecosystem of the lakes. The Duluth Police Department is investigating following a hit-and-run crash that left a pedestrian in the hospital. According to law enforcement authorities, the collision occurred at around 11:30 a.m. on Tuesday near the Walgreens at the intersection of 12th Avenue East and 2nd Street. The victim was reportedly walking in the crosswalk when she was hit, and the driver of the vehicle left the scene. The woman was taken to the hospital with non-life-threatening injuries, and authorities are working to locate the driver of the vehicle. Governor Tony Evers and Attorney General Josh Kaul have announced Wisconsin has joined a coalition of states filing a lawsuit to block a freeze on federal funding from the Trump administration. According to a press release, the coalition's lawsuit argues that President Trump does not have the authority to unilaterally override laws governing federal spending and called the policy unconstitutional. The pause was temporarily blocked by a federal judge on Tuesday night, and a hearing to consider the issue further has been scheduled for Monday. Barron County officials have announced there will be no criminal charges filed against the drivers of two cars that hit a man while he was moving a deer carcass off the road. The 75-year-old man who was killed had hit a deer on Highway 8 in Barron County in November. While moving the deer off the road, he was hit by an oncoming SUV and a truck with a plow. When authorities responded, he was pronounced deceased at the scene. District Attorney Brian Wright said neither driver was impaired or violated any other traffic laws. Prior to the policy being blocked by a federal judge, the Trump administration's pause on federal assistance left Wisconsin officials unable to access Medicaid. In their announcement of the policy, the Trump administration said the freeze would not affect Social Security and Medicare programs, but states across the country lost access to the online portals for those programs on Tuesday. White House officials said they were aware of the portal outage, but no payments had been affected, and they expected the portals to be online soon. The Wisconsin Department of Workforce Development is accepting applications for Wisconsin Fast Forward grants. According to a press release, the grant program is meant to increase the number of skilled workers in the state. Public agencies, private organizations, and tribal governments can apply for the program and could be eligible to receive some funding to train more skilled workers themselves. Grant awards range from $5,000 to $400,000. Applications must be submitted by 3 p.m. on March 11th. A Rice Lake woman has been charged after being accused of assaulting a police officer while being arrested for stealing a frozen turkey. According to Barron County Circuit Court documents, 32-year-old Melanie Munt was charged with battery to a law enforcement officer, resisting arrest, theft, and bail jumping. The alleged incident occurred on January 24th when the Rice Lake Police Department responded to a report of Munt stealing the turkey from a freezer at an apartment complex. She's facing up to 6 years in prison if convicted. Officials from Second Harvest Northland say they increased their food distribution in 2024 following a merger between the Duluth and Grand Rapids organizations. The merger went into effect on January 1st, 2024, and officials say they distributed 4% more food in the year since the merger. That increase represents about 370,000 additional meals given out to area residents struggling with food insecurity. Officials also say the merger helped the organization decrease its operating costs by about 11%. Wisconsin Governor Tony Evers has released a letter asking President Donald Trump to reconsider efforts to pause federal funding. On Monday night, President Trump issued a memo directing all federal agencies to suspend activities related to obligation or disbursement of federal financial assistance. Governor Evers expressed concerns about the potential consequences of the memo, asked for further clarification on how the pause will impact federal support for Wisconsin families and communities, and asked President Trump to reconsider the decision. Republican state lawmakers have introduced legislation to eliminate taxes on tips for service workers in Wisconsin. The legislation mirrors a campaign promise from President Donald Trump to eliminate taxes on tips at a federal level. The legislation was introduced by State Representative Ron Tussler and State Senator Andre Jacques on Monday. The bill would apply to taxable years beginning after December 31st, 2024. Former Vice President Kamala Harris proposed a similar measure during her presidential campaign. For WLAK News, I'm James Kelly.
The Bucks lose again in Portland. Hi, I'm Mike Clemens with sports. The Bucks lost to the Trailblazers, 125-117. Giannis Antetokounmpo asked how has Portland beat them 3 out of 4 tries since they traded Damian Lillard away to Milwaukee.
Good team, play fast, have a lot of people that can make shots over the dribble. You know, when you give a team confidence, they beat you.
The Bucks road trip continues when they face the Spurs in San Antonio tomorrow night. College basketball, number 9th ranked Marquette with a win in Indianapolis, beating Butler 78-69. Cam Jones got into foul trouble, so Stevie Mitchell stepped up, scoring a career-high 22 points. Number 18th ranked Wisconsin and Maryland tonight. Head coach Greg Gard on why he thinks the Badgers have improved on offense.
You know, an unselfish group that doesn't care who gets the credit, and it's a really talented team that have a lot of weapons that can shoot it. And pretty much everybody we put on the floor is a legit threat from 3.
That's Wisconsin head coach Greg Gard. With sports, I'm Mike Clemens.
On your entertainment beat, I'm Pete Schwaba. A popular TV detective will say goodbye once again. As a big fan of detective shows, I've really enjoyed Bosch and been through the entire series twice. Titus Welliver plays the uncompromising LA detective based on the lead character in Michael Connelly's crime novels. When the original show ended, it was spun off into Bosch Legacy, and its 3rd and final season will drop on Freevee March 27th, according to Deadline. If you like cop shows, both Bosch and Bosch Legacy are worth a peek. The Jonas Brothers are great at reinventing themselves, and there is a new iteration. The musically talented bros, Nick, Jonas, and Kevin, will play themselves trying to get home from London to New York in time for Christmas with family. Really thinking outside the box there. According to Deadline, Disney is hoping to have the film ready for a 2025 release. You guys think they'll make it home in time? Expect a nail-biter, ladies and gentlemen. A forgotten actor joins the cast of a forgotten TV show. I always wondered why Jason Patric never achieved bigger status as an actor. He always does solid work, and now will be doing it on a TV show that has been demoted from network TV to Peacock, but is part of a huge franchise known as Law & Order. Patrick, who is Jackie Gleason's grandson, will join Christopher Maloney in the cast of Law & Order Organized Crime for Season 5 as Detective Tom McKenna. There is no official date as to when Season 5 will drop. One of Pete's picks, A Complete Unknown. I'm not exactly going out on a limb here as it's Oscar nominated. The film follows Bob Dylan's transition from folk and the acoustic guitar to rock and playing a more electric sound. The narrative uses Dylan's music as a through line, starting with his arrival in New York at the age of 19. 3 of the film's cast members, Timothée Chalamet, Edward Norton, and Monica Barbaro, are all nominated for Oscars. Definitely worth a look. Lady Gaga is not used to getting bad reviews when it comes to her music or acting. That ended big time when Joker Folie à Deux was panned by critics and audiences alike. Gaga put things in perspective in a recent chat with Elle magazine, saying people just sometimes don't like some things. She sounded unfazed though, continuing that fear of failure is worse than actual failure, and if it takes over, can cause mayhem. Don't you hate it when your parole officer puts the kibosh on you hosting Saturday Night Live? Martha Stewart sure does. She whined to the perfect audience on The Tonight Show starring cheerleader Jimmy Fallon about how she missed her opportunity to host the show 20 years ago because of said parole officer. Maybe she'll get another opportunity since time has passed since she was convicted for conspiracy and obstruction of justice, as well as an insider trading scandal. It's so stressful when rich celebrities don't get everything they want. Maybe she can cry on her equally as annoying BFF Snoop Dogg's shoulder. For more showbiz fun, tune in to Nightlight with me, Pete Schwaba, weeknights from 6 to 8 p.m. on the Civic Media Radio Network.
Hi, meteorologist Brandon Bormans. Partly sunny skies today, not quite as warm as yesterday, but still a really nice late January day with a high of 33. Mostly cloudy at first tonight, then becoming clear, a low of 25. Sunny and warmer on Thursday with highs in the mid-40s. Currently, it's 27.
That's your WLAK Daily News Roundup from Civic Media. Subscribe to this podcast on Spotify, Apple, or wherever you find your podcasts. Find more news at lakeair.radio. The national news cycle never stops, but it can be hard to find news about your local community. Civic Media is dedicated to providing quality local and state news coverage across Wisconsin. With the Civic Media app, you can get notifications about local stories that matter to you and your community. Find the free Civic Media app in your phone's app store and choose notifications from the menu to tell us what kind of news you want to hear about.